Okay, so for today's episode of Rare, we are welcoming Caroline Petit. So, Caroline is trained in law, sciences, UE, and EU regulatory policies, and has been working in the pharmaceutical industry for more than 15 years. She has a history of successfully leading US and international cross functional teams and is well versed in providing strategic policies and regulatory guidance and is driven by a passion to help patients. So Caroline is currently taking part in an executive part-time master in biosciences with a major in US law at Harvard Medical School. So she wishes to focus more specifically on the ethical use of artificial intelligence in large-scale pharmaceutical projects and related legal considerations and policies, protecting patients' boundaries, which is a topic that she will tackle in this episode. So welcome, Caroline. Thank you for joining us. Can you talk us through your journey so far?
Thanks a lot, Laura. That's a very good introduction. And first of all, I want to thank you warmly for inviting me to this session. I'm deeply honored because, as you mentioned, I have some passion around working on ethical patient initiatives and making sure that we're raising awareness around that topic, especially in a world where artificial intelligence is more and more present. Just to clarify, the part-time master I'm taking is on bioethics with a major focus on US law, as you just explained. So just a little bit about myself. Actually, since my very young age, I've always been passionate about medicine, and my dream as a little girl was to cure everyone around me. It started with my grandfather, who suffered from a rare cardiovascular condition, and he never recovered from it. And from then on, I always promised myself to help cure patients and put them first in my work ethics. So now, as a grown-up, I made a choice to study sciences, and I joined the pharma world through experiences different departments, so research, marketing, medical, patient services, and now regulatory. And to be honest, when I joined regulatory, I was not imagining that it would be so critical, especially for the work we're doing for patients in pharma. I realized that ethical boundaries, patient rights, and laws and regulation can dramatically help protect their role and positions in all the build scale project that we're undertaking. So from then on, I started to take extensive training, both academically and on the job, experiencing the field of compliance, law and regulation in the US and EU. I wanted really to focus on both because both are very different worlds when it has to do with patient regulation and boundaries. And I felt it was critical if I want to also raise awareness for patient initiative globally. So I gradually enrolled in more and more compliance and ethical projects, and I became invited to more conferences on the topic because I really wanted to make sure I'm raising awareness on this. And also, I'm really careful to all the time try and raise awareness around ethical boundaries in relation to privacy rights, and that we really truly respect these boundaries in these studies, including large patient data conducted globally. In parallel, I also got inspired by different male and female mentors that I want to thank on that occasion. Those role models are really helped me grow and making sure that wherever I go, I can have this sense of ethics and also defend patient rights in our day-to-day work. And today I also work for a company that has put patient first in their values, which are patient reputation, trust, and business, and which is really important for me to work in this environment that has as core value patient and reputation as really a main focus.
Mhm.
So yeah, so once again, thanks for for this opportunity.
Okay, great. So could you give us an overview of the project that you're working on at the moment?
Yes, so with pleasure. So like mentioned, I'm taking this master in bioethics with a main focus in US health law. And in that regard, I belong to the Harvard Bioethics Medical Center. I'm working to look at how making sure that when we're developing those patient initiatives, including artificial intelligence tools, we still make sure that patient privacy and patient rights are respected. This is quite challenging, to be honest, because if you look at the current EU version act, of course, there's mention of GDPR and data privacy regulation, but it's highly also focused on the risks and risk assessment that artificial intelligence tools are using in their development and in their techniques. And for that reason, also in the US, there's a heavy focus on HIPAA, and this is basically the main governmental or federal legislation that has been enacted since several years. It's a very old act, and this is why also on a state law basis, there are a variety of different tools and guidelines and regulations that govern this use. And that's also why in US it's a little bit different because it's much more diverse and dependent on the state than on the European basis. So to come back to this project, thanks to the resources of the Bioethics Center, I'm working on both regions to leverage these legislative frameworks that I just mentioned, so HIPAA and Artificial Intelligence Act, around also some legal boundaries on machine learning, to be able to highlight from a critical eye do those differences and clearly identify how different mechanisms can work globally. More specifically, in the rare disease area, the database of patients tends to be really thin and more tailored. Our cases are fewer, as you know, and they tend to be very specific. Hence, in this field specifically, it's really critical to be cognizant with regards to, for instance, compassionate use of practices, because we tend to have less cases. Patients are of high demand to ask for compassionate use. And once again, here there is a specific, strict legislative framework that we need to abide as pharmaceutical company in order to enable this compassionate use. So this is also why we're trying more and more to find out-of-the-box solutions, and artificial intelligence, I believe, can truly help into that direction.
Yeah, yeah, great. So what motivated you then to take on such a project alongside your professional career?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Thanks for asking. So first of all, like mentioned in my bio, I always had this sense of care and propension to help cure patients. And when I started to work in research on different patient projects through several angles, so clinical, medical, marketing, I realized that even though in the background compliance and ethical stance is critical to help handle those projects fairly, sometimes they are left in the back and not specifically highlighted. And I realize now that I'm partnering with my colleagues from medical and marketing, that it's more than a framework. It's really a partnership where we co-build together the framework and the guardrails of these projects. Um, and it's not a matter of compliance or legal blocking projects or really giving only regulations or guidelines, but it's really helping to achieve those critical patient goals in a successful manner, but still remaining compliant according to this legislative framework and regulations.
Great. So why is this important in relation to developing treatments for rare diseases?
So that's again one key question, because rare disease and related treatments, like we mentioned before, this is a very niche segment. And nowadays, global legal and ethical framework related to the use of AI are quite vague and weak. Like I mentioned, we're still working on the Artificial Intelligence Act. Since a couple of years, it's about to be finalized. In the US, there's a big work that has been done at the state level, but HIPAA to date, there has been some efforts to work on some digital update, but it's still a long way to go. So for me, it's really critical in the near future to have a clear framework setting strong guardrails for the use of these artificial intelligence tools. And that's what I'm trying to work on in my bioethics project at Harvard Medical Center. I want to clarify this legislative framework, give clear, strong sense of what can be done, what cannot be done, in order to be in an ethically way at the service of our patients that suffering from different disease, and especially rare disease, which is again a strong niche in the pharmaceutical industry. So compassionate use, like I mentioned, and outside of the box solutions are key to work on for these patients. There are few patient association for each rare disease, because most of the time a patient finds out that he has the disease. It's not well known. There's not lots of funding that are available to help cure. Even the physicians, they need to get trained on the topic. There's only few physicians that are highly skilled globally. So patients, they need budget to travel. They need time to understand their condition. They love to interact with other patients that are also not very numerous because of this condition of being rare. So my aim is really to help those patients having a strong ethical framework and having some reliable basis to have treatment and helping them at best with this new artificial intelligence tools.
Oh, that's great. And it's such an in the spotlight, if you like, topic at the moment, the increasing use of AI. So thank you, Caroline, for coming
My
on
pleasure.
to talk to us today. And yeah, great
Thank you
episode.
for your time. Thank you.